Hi everyone, welcome back. My name's Morgan. This is my channel, Pisces Paperbacks, and it is the new year, which means that I can start talking about my least favorite books of 2022. I have here next to me a list of 5 of my least favorite books I read this year. I'm not going to say worst because I think good versus bad is a more nuanced conversation, but absolutely my least favorite. And I just had a pretty reading year, so a lot of the books I read were I had a lot of 2 stars, but most of them were just inoffensive, just kind of you know what I mean? But these are some of my least favorite that I read this year for sure. So let's get right into it. The first book I want to talk about is Chained to the Grave by Eschenbach. This is actually a comic that I read this year. It was on Kindle Unlimited and it was like a bind up of all of the volumes. This is honestly, I gave it 2 stars. I thought the art was beautiful, the colors was beautiful. In terms of story, it was truly nonsensical. I could not tell you what happened. I thought it was going to be a zombie western, and it was less zombies and more just this one guy was raised from his grave. He is undead because of magic, not because of zombies. And I was kind of sad about that. I like zombies. So, honestly, I have almost nothing to say about this book. It was truly just, incomprehensible. Next, I want to talk about another 2-star read, but honestly, it could be a 1.5, and this is Close Up by Amanda Quick. So this is book 4 maybe in the Burning Cove series that she has going. All of her recent historical releases have been in this series that is kind of set in 1920s in this town outside of Hollywood where the stars go to get away from the glitz and glamour. And the whole premise is that it's about mysteries and murders happening in this town. And then they just have this random book that takes place somewhere else with almost no interaction from the characters that were the stars of the other books. And it's stupid. This book was truly just dumb and bad. And for a series that was already so soulless and without any heart, this book is just kind of, it almost felt like a slap in the face. She wasn't even putting in the effort this time. And I love Amanda Quick. Maybe I shouldn't because most of the books that I've read in the past few years from her have been extremely mediocre, but she just uses tropes that I enjoy, and I'm kind of used to the setups and the formulas for her books. So I've kind of I binged this whole series, and maybe that was another mistake, reading them all so close back to back to back. But reading all of these books so closely, there is such a clear dip in quality with this book that it couldn't be pushed aside, you know what I mean? It's about a photographer and a private investigator in 1920s Hollywood. That's literally solving a murder. That's literally it. It was really dumb. Another 2-star book that I really did not enjoy this year was At the Duke's Pleasure by Tracy and Warren, I believe. Yeah, this book was just annoying. The whole premise is that it's historical romance. There's a duke, and when he was a child, his father, the duke, set up an arranged marriage between him and the daughter of one of his close friends. And the daughter was literally 10, 12 years younger. She was a baby, and he was a 10-year-old boy. And he was horrified. He's like, I'm not going to marry her. She's a baby. And there was just kind of always this expectation that, yeah, they'd let it go, the dad's still alive, he'll do it while he's happy. But once he became the duke, he was like, I'll break off the engagement because this literal baby shouldn't have to marry the person that her dad picked for her when she was an infant. And then obviously it jumps forward. He is now, I don't know, in his early 30s, and she is about 18 or 19. And he has decided, well, I guess I want to have heirs someday. I might as well just go along with this engagement, betrothal. There's nothing wrong with it, I'm not passionately in love with her, and we'll just be married. It'll be whatever. And she is I've been in love with him since I was 16, and I cannot let him marry me because I want to marry for love. And so instead of communicating this, she decides that she's going to annoy him out of marrying her. And what follows is the most inane, frustrating, repetitive book for the next 250 pages, 300 pages. She is I'm in love with him and he doesn't love me. She's spoken to him maybe twice in her entire life up to this point when he's like comes to marry her. It's just stupid and pointless, and I'm so disappointed because I picked it because I liked the cover. I thought the cover was beautiful, the colors with the purple and the yellow, but it's just bad. It kind of put me off historicals for a while, which is saying something because I clearly love them. We've now moved down from 2-star reads to 1.5-star reads, of which I had one this year, and that is Mussels and Monsters by Ashley Bennett. So this book has such a cute cover. It has a really interesting premise, kind of this idea that monsters and humans live in the world together, and the main female character owns a bakery, and the guy, the wolf man, owns a gym, and they work down the street from each other, and it starts when there's kind of a meet cute, and she is having trouble carrying like a giant cake into her car by herself, and so he's like, let me help you. And then they're like, wow, the other person's really cute. I should hit them up. And so she decides to join the gym to spend time with him. And that's kind of how the premise is presented. And then, you know, things kick off. So I was like, oh, this is going to be really cute. They're going to have a little meet cute. And then they're going to, you know, be gym buddies, work out together. And they're going to have this building tension. And you can do building tension in a short, like, KU smutty novella. Like, it is possible. I've seen it done. Tell me why they literally hook up like the first day they have a real conversation. He helps her with a cake. The next day she goes to the gym to like sign up for a membership, and he's like, you should come work out with me in the morning when I'm here. It's usually a little emptier and I can help you learn how to use the machines and learn proper form and stuff. And she's like, cool, when are you here? He's like, 4 a.m. Which, first of all, it's insane to ask someone to meet you at the gym at 4 a.m. The first day you know them. Like, that's crazy. And then they hook up in the gym. Like, she goes down on him in the gym. And he's like, I gotta take you on a date. You should come over for dinner. And then she goes to his house, like, that evening, and they hook up, and suddenly, like, they're in love. There's, like, a confrontation between her and his spiteful ex. The whole book takes place over, like, a week, and they're like, we're soulmates. And then he mates with her on the full moon. And not to mention, so the pacing is terrible. There's no tension. Let's get to the meat of the book, the writing. The dialogue was some of the cringiest, most stilted, just like, awful dialogue I've ever read. I swear to God, the way this guy was acting, I was like, oh, he's like a frat boy, you know? He's like probably just out of college. He like got some money payout from his parents. He was able to start this gym, but he's like successful, like really young. He's like a 35, and I could not tell you that. He does not come across as 35. There's no level of maturity. The way he talks, the way he texts, the way he acts. And then he also has like a really bad relationship with food in his body. There's a lot of talk in this book about like he was overweight as a teenager and now he works really hard to maintain his physique, which is totally fine, understandable, but he often talks about how he has to work out to be good or to like make up for eating something, or he has to not eat something to make up for whatever. And it was just like, it was in there enough that I was like, you need to be able to address it. And they don't address it enough in this short ass book. Not to mention, it's a plus size main character. So it's like, how are you going to have one character who's like confident plus size woman who's like going to the gym to like feel healthier, but also just to like hit on this guy, and then have the other main character be like so happy that he's no longer overweight or plus sized, and then have this terrible relationship with food. It was just weird to me. I didn't like it. Can you tell? It was just cringy. It was just awful. And I wish I could read the second book because I love the cover again, but I'm not going to put myself through that. And then we have my one singular 1-star read this year. And maybe I'm lucky that this was my 1-star read because it is an erotic novella. Like it's like 60 pages, 70 pages long, which means that I wasn't reading it for very long. Thank God. And it could have been worse. I could have had like a whole ass novel that I hated this much. But my worst read of 2022, far and away, is Bulky by Jessa Kane. Jessa Kane, I've read at this point, I don't know, 5 or 6 maybe of her little smut short story novellas, and it's pretty much 50-50 on whether or not I enjoy them. And usually I'm just like neutral, like they're fine. And there's 1 or 2 that I did like, but the other half were bad, just straight up bad. Like the half that's bad is bad, and this one was bad. It was, she always has, this is like her like hefty boys line, so it's always like a bigger guy with like a waif of a girl who's always blonde. I wonder if Jessa Kane is blonde. All of her heroines are blonde, and it's basically the heroine in this book is literally just turned 18. And she has a big crush on her best friend's dad, and her dad is like broke. His business is like not going well, and so she's like, I want this guy, and he's rich. He has a really successful business. He could be my sugar daddy. And so they kind of enter into this sugar relationship, and it's the way that he talks about her in his head. It's so weird and gross and paternal, because she's been best friends with his son since they were like 14, and she's still in high school when they start dating. She's still in high school, and I was just like, here's the thing, age gaps, I can get past an age gap. I'm not someone where an age gap is this absolute red line that cannot be crossed. But you gotta handle it right. And this was one of the worst ways I've ever seen it handled. It was so gross. The sex scenes were bad. The relationship was bad. He throws a surprise wedding for her at the end. And I'm like, she's 18 and you've been dating for 3 months. And now you're marrying this child before she goes to college? I was disgusted. I had been so excited. I was like, I texted my friend. I was like, I just remembered that Jessa Kane's on Kindle Unlimited. I'm going to go on a rampage. And this was the first one I read, and immediately I texted her. I was like, I can't read anymore, and I'm taking a break. Like, I was put off of Kindle Unlimited for several weeks because of this. So, yeah, it was awful. Anyway, I think that's it. So those were the low lights of my reading year this year. Let me know if you read any of them and what you thought. Let me know what your least favorite books of the year were so I can avoid them. I'd appreciate that. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you guys next time. Bye!